The Pac-12 is officially dead. That's right, the Conference of Champions is no more, and there's essentially only 4 schools left. Now, by the time the 2024-25 athletic season rolls around, the only teams remaining in the Pac-12 as of right now would be Stanford, UC Berkeley, Washington State, and Oregon State. That's it. Which leads all of the college world, all of college athletics, to wonder, how long has this been in the making? Who's to blame? And where does the Pac-12 go from here? I mean, they were once considered a Power 5 conference, and now they're not going to exist in 2 years? Now, if we really want to understand how the Pac-12 collapsed, we have to go all the way back to the morning of November 12th, 2011, where on ESPN College Game Day, the undefeated Stanford Cardinals looked to take on the 6th ranked Oregon Ducks in a very highly anticipated college football game, right? I mean, 2 great schools going at it. When's the last time that's happened for the Pac-12? It's been a while. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that the Pac-12 ended up finishing that college football season with, I want to say, 3 teams in the top 6, and more importantly, the Pac-12 ended up signing the biggest contract, the biggest TV deal in college sports history at the time. See, at the time, the Pac-12 looked to sign a 12-year deal worth $3 billion, which sounds amazing, sounds great. But in the last 12 years, we're looking at it 12 years from that deal being signed, and they don't have a new TV deal. They've lost 10 teams in the last 2 years. It's a conference of 4 at this point. Where did it all go wrong? And I think if we were to play the blame game, one of the biggest people to blame would have to be former Pac-12 Commissioner Larry Scott. And remember his name because we are going to be talking about him a ton here. Anyway, Larry Scott became the commissioner of the Pac-12 after the former Pac-10 commissioner Tom Hansen decided to retire in 2009. And now that, Larry Scott was a new commissioner, he came in with some big changes for the league. I mean, he got that contract done, 1-2 years into being the commissioner? He got that TV deal done, and then he looked towards expansion. Now, in 2011, the league did expand to 14 teams. And with that expansion came Colorado and Utah. But not only that, the conference was also looking at adding 2 of the biggest powerhouses in all of college football in Texas and Oklahoma. Unfortunately for the league, Larry Scott didn't see it that way. You see, in an interview with ESPN's Ted Miller, Scott revealed that he and the conference felt that there wasn't a need to add 2 blue bloods of the sport. Do you hear how ridiculous that sounds? It's crazy even now, and it was crazy then. Now, here are his exact quotes from the interview. "We could have expanded, but the deal didn't make any sense at the end of the day for us, especially given the position that we are in. There's a very high bar. It's hard to imagine very many scenarios for our conference to expand because the bar is so high." And that's coming from a guy who just added Colorado and Utah? Okay, bro. Whatever. And apparently that bar was too high later down the road for Texas Tech and Oklahoma State to join, which is absolutely crazy. Now, one of the main reasons this didn't go through is also because USC athletic director, now he wasn't the only reason, but he did come out and say, Mr. Pat Hayden said that the conference didn't need 16 teams. He said that, "I don't think there's any rush for us to get to 16, and was he wrong? Because at this point, you look at the Big 10 and you look at the Big 12, now, dude, those conferences have 14, 15, 16 plus schools each, mainly because the Pac-12 fell apart, but whatever. He was the USC's athletic director, and we will be talking about USC, as USC would later go on to sabotage the Pac-12's chances to expand again with adding Big 12 teams following 2021 news that Texas and Oklahoma were joining the SEC. And what's crazy about that part, they sabotaged the Pac-12's expanding in 2021. Whatever. That's cool. Fine, I guess, USC, you don't want more teams. In 2022, along with UCLA, they decide that they are heading to the Big 10. Why? Money, greed. That's it. USC is greedy. I mean, they stop the conference from expanding, and then they leave a year later, which they're one of the main reasons, along with Larry Scott, that this league is collapsing in the first place. If USC isn't to blame, and Larry Scott isn't, I'm sure there's others. Yeah, hell, UCLA also left. When the conference loses two major schools like them, they're both from LA, two of the most storied franchises in the league, gone, it's going to hurt the conference. I mean, they're the reason that everyone ended up leaving less than, or I guess, a year later. Now, Colorado's gone. Oh, wow, big hit, whatever. Not really. Oregon's gone. Washington's gone. They're all gone. They've all decided to either go to the Big 10 or the Big 12, which they're essentially the Big 16s at this point. They both got massive conferences. And don't think I'm letting current Pac-12 commissioner George Klikov off the hook, because his failure to secure a new media deal for years at this point is another major reason for schools leaving and the league collapsing. They have no security. So where do they go? Somewhere with more money. Now, where does the Pac-12 go from here, right? Well, there are options. They could look to add more schools to the league, get it to around that good 12-10 range of schools, which would mean that they'd be adding 6 to 8 schools. Where would those schools come from? Well, they could come from the Mountain West, which is played out west, which is where the Pac-12 is. That makes sense. They're the second, I guess the biggest conference out west now. But the problem with the Mountain West schools is that they're currently committed to their own media deals. So the Pac-12 would have to pay $34 million in exit fees per school for them to leave the conference in time for 2024. And that's 8 schools leaving? That's $272 million right there the Pac-12 would have to pay the Mountain West. And the Mountain West has 12 schools in it. So, they could also decide to merge the conferences, make it about, 16 schools? I don't know what the conference would be called. The Mountain Pac, the Pac West, maybe? I don't know what the merger would look like. But there's also that scenario. So, I don't know though. I don't know if the Pac-12 is looking to merge with a minor league like the Mountain West. I don't know if that's good for the legacy, good for the brand. But at this point, they're desperate. Now, they could also merge with the ACC, right? The ACC is another Power 5 school. But honestly, they're looking like the next domino to fall in all of this because they are the weakest conference now that the Pac-12 is officially over. So they could merge with the remaining 4 schools. But would they even want to at that point? Because there are only 4 schools left. Could they just buy out? Could they just not buy out the Pac-12? Now, in my honest opinion, a merger with the ACC would be the best outcome. But does it happen on ACC's part? I don't know. Now, if they were able to add schools from that Mountain West or the AAC, a good foundation for the Pac-12 would maybe be, and I'm saying maybe, being a conference where you got Cal, you got Stanford, Oregon State, Washington State, Boise State, Fresno State, and San Diego State. That's a really good start for rebuilding something. That's if they decide to do that. I personally have no idea where the future holds for the Pac-12, but hopefully they don't collapse. I like the Pac-12. I'm from Cali, but that's about it for the video. Catch y'all later. Much love. Deuces.